here with Davos Direct. I'm Shelly Chopra with the WEF 2012 Action. First up now are the young Indian leaders who made it to Davos this year, giving a perspective on what young India, young politicians could mean for the future of the country and its governance.
Despite these trying circumstances, many areas of our economy has shown resilience much far and beyond what is expected of them. And I think all the indicators are looking north. We can't be less than cautious when we talk about reforms and opening up. There are many areas where we try to do it with some success, I might add. And in the next few months and years, you will see a larger package of reforms coming up. In fact, even the next budget, I hope to see 2 or 3 things come up on the table. But
like what?
But it's wrong to assume that India has been more slow than what people had wanted us to be.
One CEO just told me in an interview before ours, in India, economics is no longer about business, it's about politics. How do you respond to that?
Not at all. I think good economics makes for good politics. And the people of this country will judge us by the economic opportunity we are able to provide to the young people. We have got to have investment, we have to have job creation. There is no two views on that.
3 things from a reform side that CEOs should expect, global CEOs from India.
Well, we have a new manufacturing policy in place. We're looking at making India a manufacturing hub. We have a new IT policy in place. We have a new telecom policy that's going to come up in a couple of months. These are huge areas of growth opportunity, both for Indian investors and for global companies.
Today, capital has become a commodity. It's actually human resource that's going to be the issue of competitive and comparative advantage over the long term. And I think that's where India underscores a lot. I think in contrast with a lot of the other economies whom we are competing with, and by that I talk about the South-South paradigm, whether it's the continent of Africa, whether it's Latin America, whether it's China. I think here you're seeing the private sector and the government working together.
What should we expect in 2012, which should be game-changing for the economy?
I think in many ways this is a time of apprehension, not only for India but on the global stage. I think it's important on policy making, as you mentioned. When we talk about the downside in terms of FDI and multi-brand retail not going through, many of us forget to underscore the fact that FDI and single-brand retail is on the anvil, right? Yes, sometimes India doesn't move as fast as you and I would want it to move in many ways, but that's the nature of our democracy. Are there no long-term FII investors in India? Is all of it hot money? I've been hearing this debate since I was an investment banker in 1993. I don't buy it. FII investment that comes into India is also long-term. Okay, there will be volatility, there will be trade both inwards and outwards, but I think the FII stock is also there to stay long-term.
Part of the young factor at the World Economic Forum is to do with the rise of social media and the concerns that it brings along, given that the Twitter controversy continues about censorship or selective censorship. Back home in India, we've had challenges as well, with Google and Facebook under fire. Really, what is the future of Internet, and should governments be such a big part of it? A perspective from 2 key voices, a lady from the Internet Society and from Frog Design. Here's Laureen Rosenzo.
I think that train has left the station. I think content is out there. I think the world has changed, and the access to content is what people want. And I don't think you're going to be able to control it anymore.
I think the internet is great at routing around blockages. That's a fundamental part of its architecture. I totally agree that the train has left the station. And in fact, if you go to China and you go to most universities, the students there all know how to route around the filtering and the blocking. I believe that the government actually knows that, in fact, people know how to route around. It's a matter of kind of controlling the pace of change, from my perspective. But
what about security risks? I mean, Davos has highlighted that as one of its key risks for the years ahead.
So Davos, I think, likes to actually identify areas of concern. That's what brings people together in terms of trying to find some solutions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a crisis in the same way it's often reported in the press, not only here at Davos, or particularly here at Davos. I think we all just need to keep taking a step forward. We need to work very, very broadly and look for all sorts of solutions, everything from education to technical, to usage, to government policies.
Let's talk about business on the internet, because the world is driven by apps, and life is about being completely connected. Where do you see business going next couple of years?
Well, certainly moving into the app world, certainly moving into the mobile world, certainly moving into a world where people who are in developing nations don't have access to the World Wide Web, but have access through their phone. So that's very, very clear. And that means access, to get back to what you're saying, access to content, all sorts of content.
But what will drive it? Entertainment or the need for finance? Or what would it be? Shopping?
Well, what we've seen in a lot of the developing nations, and certainly finance has led the way, and now you're starting to see, as a result of more people getting these devices in their hands, what you're seeing is more applications. So now there's more e-commerce applications happening.
Yeah.
There is shopping that's going on. You're seeing that certainly from the finance, just content and information.
In terms of breaking out, we do see revolutions. From 2000 to now, we've come a long way. Do you anticipate the tablet age to be just like a temporary phase to what would be something new? And what could that be? You could imagine for us.
I think tablets are just the next generation of making the technology much more accessible, much more portable, much more prevalent. I think that's a trend that's just going to continue. We already know you can get screens that allow you to project onto your clothes, your arm.
Yeah.
That trend is just going to continue.